Fundamentally, it comes back to investing with Randal Kirk in this situation and his proven track record. You can see here that Mr. Kirk founded and became chairman of the board of New River Pharmaceuticals, which was traded on the Nasdaq prior to its acquisition by Shear PLC. And Shear PLC was bought by New River Pharmaceuticals for $2.6 billion. Again, you can see here it states that previously Mr. Kirk served as a member of the board of directors of Skios prior to its acquisition by Johnson & Johnson. And right here you can see that Johnson & Johnson bought Skios for $2.4 billion. And he was also a member of the board of directors for clinical data prior to its acquisition by Forest Laboratories, and was chairman of the board of directors. And right here you can see that Forest Laboratories acquired clinical data for $1.2 billion. And with all of that in mind, you can see now how Randal Kirk has amassed this $1.5 billion fortune. And so like I was saying, effectively my investment in Precigen was more of an investment with Randal Kirk. I was aligning myself with Randal Kirk. There are very few opportunities in life where you can put your money where billionaires put their money. And what I've seen is that, biotech, early stage biotech and early stage pharmaceutical companies, very specific ones, which I've discussed and made a number of videos on, so check those out, is one of the few opportunities where you're able to literally put your money where these individuals put their money. Randal Kirk has periodically been funding this company. He has a level of conviction. I'm investing in his experience, his 30 years experience. I'm also looking at his past behavior. What does his past behavior show to me? It shows that what he's doing is that he's building out these pharmaceutical companies from scratch and then selling them at a premium. He's cashing in at a premium. So what does that tell me? That tells me to expect a potential acquisition with this company as well. We've already seen on Simply Wall Street that there's Third Security LLC and Randal Kirk who both hold a stake, but we can also see Merck KGaA who hold a 6.99% stake in Precigen as well. And so the first thing to know with this, the 6.99% holding by Merck KGaA, it actually refers to the German multinational pharmaceutical company, which is traded on the German stock market in euros. And it's also worth noting that Precigen's focus on cell and gene therapy fits in quite well with Merck's overall mission as well. It marries up quite well for a potential acquisition. Germany's Merck KGaA has recently been involved in a $3.9 billion deal to buy US biotech firm SpringWorks. You can see here it states the deal was only signed after SpringWorks received drug approval in the US and a favourable opinion from European regulators. And so in this case, Merck KGaA actually went ahead with this transaction before any kind of proof of concept of the actual product. So what do I mean by that? There was not really any kind of proof of any sales, any data released from the sales. They actually made this acquisition very quickly after the approval by the FDA and positive noise from the European equivalent as well. And so there is the possibility that there could be an acquisition off the back of the approval. Could well be Merck, could be someone else like Gilead, for example, as well. They seem to be one of the favorites that people are that I've heard on forums and stuff talking about, again, with its alignment on a strategic level with the therapies that they're already developing. But I think the fundamental thing to consider, is that this is part of Randal Kirk's process. He has built his whole career off the back, and his fortune that you can see here, the 1.5 billion, off the back of building out these pharmaceutical companies and then selling them off. This is what he does historically. And so then it just becomes this question as to when this might happen. And again, that very much depends on who the acquirer is. Some pharmaceutical companies are quite happy to go in and make these acquisitions off the back of highly compelling data and approvals, an initial approval by the FDA and positive news from the European equivalent. Whereas other acquired companies, large pharmaceutical companies that want to acquire will wait for some sales, some proof of sales, some data that they can have a look at and say to themselves, yeah, if we push our budget, our marketing budget onto this, we can really see growth and profits from that. And so with that in mind, on one hand, investing with Randal Kirk and holding out for that acquisition could be an opportunity. At the same time, we have this PDUFA date coming up on the 27th of August as well. And that's about it for now. But look, thanks very much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.